weird statistic, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50-60% of people that get their higher education, they don't even go into that field of work. One of the greatest sales managers I ever had, he had a degree in kinesiology, and the guy knew business like the back of his hand. It's not always where you get your education and what career path that leads you on.
I've heard of people not being employed because they're overqualified. Is that a leadership flaw? Why not bring that person on if they're going to make you better in that position and then advance them? I'm like, dude, bring it on. I want the best. I want people better than me. I'm trying to figure out why you're here.
I ask myself that question every single day.
I wanted overqualified people, and I brought Doug on. No,
that's right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 28 of Never in Reverse, Always Moving Forward. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host, the man, the only, Doug Cox. That's right.
Good morning. Good morning.
Say that. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Welcome, Doug. How's it going, man?
Good, buddy. How are you? Yeah.
I keep my Zen on every day. Every day's a new day.
Yeah.
Getting the Zen on. No, it's good, man. Everything's great. I'm ready for summer, man. How about you?
I know. It's like the weather's finally starting to turn here a little bit. Days are getting longer, which I like. I hate going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark, but yeah, it's getting warmer. We started spring sports, but it's been spring sports in Central Oregon. You just know you better pack your parka.
I want you to get the odometer reading before and after spring sports on both your vehicles.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's every night. It's which way we going? Packing a sandwich and out the door, you know.
High five. See ya.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's fun though.
Whack-a-mole, man. I call it whack-a-mole over here.
Oh yeah.
Like, ding, you just don't know what's coming at you every day. Just laugh.
I'm like, where's my marching orders? Yeah.
Hey, Doug, don't you want to give a shout out for your mic cover?
Oh,
Who's next in line?
The artwork, Steve Rennell, big outdoor enthusiast, big time hunter, the meat eater.
Does he got a podcast?
Yeah, the meat eater. They're big.
Oh.
Yeah, and he talks about his world travels and, you know, his experience in harvesting animals and
perfect.
Yeah. It's
some traveling and hunting. I got the travel one and hiking. Yep. My other side of this has got a passport and stuff on it. Doug's got and we'll reflect on those so you can take a peek at them.
Yeah.
The meat eater.
Yeah.
Steve, check out his mic. His cover, man. It's
great artwork. Nice
pretty cool. Everyone, thanks for joining us on this next episode, and we appreciate this journey with you guys. And we're here to learn. We're seeing a bunch of comments and stuff that are new, and just people's perspective is awesome. We want to be a platform that's open. We don't want to be too rigid around the edges. We're here to continuously learn and get perspective that something that we don't already have, right? And we don't want to be so rigid around the edges that we're just building a direct community that's one way. We want to be, the ability to keep learning, and the only way to do that is to build.
Yep, real conversations and listen from people's perspectives, experiences, and or we can take away things from that too.
Yeah, guys, and if you guys want to, we're also launching I've launched a new website. If you guys want to follow us, launched a couple weeks prior, and but it's neverinreverse.com. It's got pictures of Doug and I's ugly mugs on there. So come take a look at us.
Yeah.
They're doctored up by our graphics team. Real nice. Doug's got a toupee of hair. He's got
they took the crow's feet out of the corner of my eyes. Yeah. And the bags out from underneath. Yeah.
Hey, we should have him throw a toupee on there and just let that flop on.
That's why I wear a hat, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you guys do want to jump on there and join us, we do have, it's going to be an evolving platform, so we're not sure where that's going to take us. But and then also all the social media platforms, TikTok, all that stuff. Just subscribe, like, comment. We want to continually push. But yeah, so on this episode, Doug, this is something that was brought to us by our team, who kind of stages these topics for us and allows us to kind of pick something that
in areas that interest us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so this one is on the modern man, overqualified and underpaid. This is going to be an interesting topic.
Underappreciated. Yes.
Yeah. Underappreciated, underqualified. I think
about like my situation.
Oh, buddy. Yes.
Yeah. No.
We'll talk about that lead rate going into that phone. That's another topic.
Yeah.
No, guys, but let's start on segment one. We'll start on the overqualification trap. Man, the last episode of our podcast, we talked about the education system, and I think what's happened is we've blended these crazy education paths, and then for some reason our society has placed expectations of pay based off of a degree, not around results,
Not around experience
not around results,
or
and
results.
I mean
Yes.
what you actually can bring and provide.
Right.
Because I think the mind and heart, they work together, but there's also a difference.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is a wonderful thing. It can do amazing things, but the heart is something that I don't think you can teach.
Well, and I think, a lot of it is people put some preconceived thoughts of what expectations are in and
Mhm.
around based on maybe some higher education or things, even work experience for that man, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
you got someone coming in with this high level degree. I went to XYZ school. They're carrying a ton of weight and debt and their expectations, and I think this is starting to shift back again because I think there's a lot of humble pie that's happening in our society. These young
mhm.
kids coming out thinking they're worth 100 grand, and they don't know how to they just learned how to tie their shoes
They haven't
per
showed up
se
to an 8 to 5 for a week yet. Yeah.
on time every day for 2 years straight
Yeah.
and performed.
Yeah.
They come out with this degree and they've been told their
They
whole
think they
life
should be first in line. Yeah.
first in
Yeah.
line, and
Yeah.
that there's a guy sitting next to him that's been in the grinder for 10, 15, 20 years and earned his stripes
And real world experience and yep.
and has a family, and they know what sick kids look like, and they have a dog they had to put under, and all these crazy dynamics that come in
Mhm.
the real world that to me they play into the whack-a-mole scenario. You just don't know what your day looks like. I mean, your daughter the other day was sick. It's like, man, you can't toss that in. You don't even know that's there until it's there, and then
Right.
you have to you have to adjust on the fly, and you still have obligations as a human and as a dad and as a husband and as a friend and all these things, right? So you can't, that degree gives you a sliver of hope to what the real world looks like. And I don't think that there's a balance of expectations versus your degree. And I think that
Mhm.
I think employers are tired of the degree position. Honestly, I think there's a lot of show me, don't tell me scenarios. Show me.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see, and I don't want to undervalue a degree, but I just
No, there's
we
there's
can
areas where it's definitely of importance, no doubt. Understanding law. I mean, the medical field. I mean, those.
highly
I mean,
specialized engineers,
yes,
software
very
development.
much so. Yeah, there's many areas where it merits. But again, when when you go to work for an organization, you get the expectations got to be that you're going to start as the low person on the totem pole, and you
Hmm.
got to work your way up. You got to prove your worth. You got to prove your skill set. That degree that you have in this field or this specialized, you know, educational piece that you truthfully understand it, and that comes with time and the
Yeah,
expectations within when you go to work somewhere, it's like, okay, now's my chance to prove my
yeah,
education, what I
but I
know,
just
what
don't
I
even.
understand, but
I
that
don't
those
even. I
things
look
take
at,
time.
and I think I look back on me and you and I in college, and the importance of a degree at what we were told, and I think it's right after ours. It's the education system and what they were trying to go after, which became more of a profitability stance for the states and
Mhm.
systems to you know for whatever purpose that meant to them. But I think that the importance of a degree is more of a social experiment for me for what I felt like was important to go through. Have the ability to think, have some structure, but also the social side. I think I gained more out of that than um, anything. Honestly, looking back, I'm like, okay, I got my degree in biology, and what do I do with it? Is it even applicable? Did it
Well, and
teach
there
me
used to
any?
be a weird statistic, like I don't hold me to this. I'm probably way out of bounds, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50-60% of people that get their higher education in a field or in
Hmm.
an educational piece, they don't even go into that field of work.
Exactly.
One of the greatest sales managers I ever had, he had a degree in kinesiology. And the
Exactly.
guy knew business like the back of his hand
Yep.
and knew sales like the back of his hand, you know. But again, it's just it's not always where you get your education and what career path that leads you on, you know.
Yeah, and I think that
I
we've
don't
been,
know if that statistic's still true today, but
yeah,
it
but
was
I
something
just,
like that years ago.
and I
But
think that the overqualification of people, and there's, I've heard of people not being employed because they're overqualified, and I'm like, man, is that a leadership flaw in the people? Overqualified to me is, um, why not bring that person on if they're going to make you better in
right.
that position and then advance them? I'm like, dude, bring it on. I want the best. I want people better than me. I'm trying to figure out why you're here.
I ask myself that question every single day.
I wanted overqualified people, and I brought Doug on. Now,
That's
no,
right.
Doug is definitely doing a phenomenal job. But no, Doug, that balance. Like, I think there's a lot of overqualified, and like the position's the position, and I just think that our country and our perspective, we gotta. I mean, I don't care about a degree. I genuinely just, if we were to hire someone, I don't care.
Character's a lot of it, first and
Character
foremost.
in our
Character.
environment, man. Who are you?
Yeah.
Are
And
you gonna?
in work experience, when I worked in telecommunications for a number of years and being in a senior management role and position, when it came to our network engineers and our CTO, he goes, "Look, I don't care about a piece of paper." He had a script. He goes, "I want to know what you know about code and programming."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "If you can answer these questions," and he had like a little test that he put these applicants through. And if they could pass that, he goes, "They got it. They'll work. They're gonna understand where we're going, what we're doing." And I thought about that. And I'm going, well, this guy's got a degree in network security and programming and da 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 da. And Tim, the CTO at the time, was like, "No, Doug, let's see if they can pass the sniff test."
Yeah.
And that's
Because that
and
paper
really,
looks. I mean, their resume is gonna look. I mean, the day of send me your resume, I go, "Dude, I don't really care, man. Who are
right.
you? Give me 3 references I can talk to right now that believe exactly what you're telling me, and they're going to tell me the same
There you
thing."
go. There you go.
I
Sales
just
is a
like.
little bit different.
Oh, you can tell a sales guy like Doug
Yeah, you
sales
can.
doesn't get good, and Doug's sales doesn't get good for 5 years. And if you can't be willing to roll your sleeves up and realize
And
that,
wade through it. Yep.
and so most sales guys, what
Yeah.
do? They go there for 2.5 years, and then they jump. And
Yeah.
the perfection of what they miss, they've already got the halfway point, but they're so impatient that they can't roll their sleeves up for a couple more years to see the sun. They
Yeah.
can't. They're just like, oh, let's go
Yeah.
back in and start over. Or
Yeah.
they go chase a higher base salary and realize that their expectations have shifted, and their thumbs on them even harder, and their expectations are greater than what they thought, and they're not actually building what they wanted in the first place.
No.
And I've seen people do that. You can see these career jumps and stuff like that. I think that going back to the overqualification trap, I think that depending on the leaderships or the leadership people that are going to be responsible for hiring or firing or whatever, qualifying these people, I think I know that Google, from what I heard, they don't care if you have a degree. They don't care anymore. Apple, they don't care
No, not anymore.
because they don't care.
Not in a lot of cases.
Show me.
Yeah. Yep.
Show me.
What have you done?
Show me. Yeah. Show me what you've done. Cool. You
Mhm.
said that. Let's see it. Let's do it.
Yep.
Next time you come here, I'm more like, I want you to come here and present to me, depending on the role, like, show me what you're capable of doing. Let's
Right.
see it. I'm going to give you one test, and let's see how can you flip on the fly during a stressful situation? Can you adapt and listen and be a great listener and be a team player? Can you accept that you're not perfect and be vulnerable enough to say that, hey,
All
I made
those
a
important
mistake?
characteristics. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so the qualifications to me is just learning that you can still grow. All that stuff, all the stuff on paper. I just personally, I think it's a great thing you went and did it.
Yeah.
Here, if you're so great, go take the qualifications and let's see you apply it for yourself. Unless
and then
you're a doctor,
give
an
me
engineer.
3 references, and and I like that perspective. Then it's okay. Let me figure out who this person really is off
Mm-hmm.
the paper.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. And I think that's a tough thing, and the exploitation around, I think, what this dynamic of what this shift, it was like during COVID, is like the great resignation.
Ooh.
That's what they called it.
Yeah.
The great resignation. People were resigning. And I don't equate that to, I think it's a blended thing. I think it's leadership, misinformed or misunderstood employment around people that think that there's something else happening behind their back that might not be happening. Maybe they think the business owner's achieving a level of success that's so crazy, and they're not, and they're just holding them hostage. And that, I think there's a lot of things that do happen that I truly have an appreciation for now that I'd never really respected before. I have a friend of mine that just shared some stuff with me on his side, and I'm like, wow, man, I didn't realize it was like that right now for you. He goes, yeah, it's not an easy position to be in, and the employees don't see that stuff and the
No,
stress and the risk that's happening, good and bad. It's not always good. It's
oh
not
no,
always great.
no,
It's, but I think when you have these, I think mega corporations, from an exploitation standpoint, I think that does happen a lot. I know small and medium sized business, mom and pop shops, it's a lot harder to do exploitation. But these mega companies that are making a massive amount of profit, and here, like Boeing, I just saw a thing where they were drilling the CEO of Boeing and what he made and what's happening to the pay increments below him. Dude, it's a massive disconnect of
well, yeah,
leadership.
big separation. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think that separation gap, if you're worthy, just because you're in the seat, you're not worthy. What are you doing? What is happening in your role and responsibility? Are you going above and beyond? Are you doing more than you're asked? Are you executing at the level that you were hired for and greater?
right.
Like, people want to, just because you're in the seat doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything.
No, we're
That's
worthy of
I
it.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, or worthy of it. Like, just, the world has told me that I get a 7% increase in my wage every year. Cool. What for what? Like, are you executing at the level? And is a company benefiting and taking everything with them,
right.
or are they with you on the journey?
Yeah.
Something that I preach to you. I want to be with you on the journey. I
Right.
don't want to just. I'm not here to make it a one-sided game. I think we're here together, and to be honest with you, the front end's one-sided for me. I'm out the door. I'm being exploited. So the thing
Yeah.
that corporations and people need to realize is there is a shift. The employment side, the employer is being exploited at the very beginning of it, probably for the first 2 years.
I guess it depends on the role. I mean, if you're coming in and you're, accounting or AP, I mean, that's pretty, you need somebody in the seat possibly for that position that,
Yeah, but
they need to
they're
process.
still this. They
But
might not
there's
know
still
SAP.
there's a
They're getting
learning curve.
exploited. Yes.
There's things in there. Yes, I get it. There are some dynamics, but on the sales side and some of those other elements, yeah, there's a lot of time and investment to
Mm-hmm.
get them into, a position to where they're truly generating revenue for an organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is a time period in that to get to that point, unless you're buying like somebody in a sales position from another company to this one that's bringing a customer
Exactly.
base or something like that. There are some other shifting dynamics to it. But no, you are right, because there is a lot of time and investment that the companies put forth into employees to
And
get them to a point.
not even at the point of hiring. Prior to that, as you know,
Yep.
investing in the infrastructure that had got them to the point where they can do that,
Right.
and allowing, they don't see. I mean, I'm pretty open on where we're going, and you guys see, the amount of outbound investment in hope that's not even being leveraged at its fullest capacity yet.
No.
It's continuous, and but I share that stuff because I think that, there
Well,
is
you
a
want buy-in, you want feedback, and
Yep.
you try to involve, and that's one of the beauties with our company and our organization. We're very transparent across. There isn't any titles here. I mean,
Mhm.
there are, but my point being is everybody has a thought and a perspective. If you got a great idea, bring it to the table. Or if you're
Yep.
seeing that where we're making an investment or we're doing things that aren't supporting us or helping us get to a point in a position that are going to better us, then let's talk about it. I mean, it's very open dialogue at the end of the day. Very open dialogue. And you
Good
get
and
into
bad.
it. Yeah, and you get into a lot of organizations. It's like, well, follow the chain of command and stay in your seat and don't steer outside the bounds.
And then you're doing, and I guess that would to me, I think exploitation of people happens. That's a great topic. Like, Doug, if you think about that, like, you can exploit your limiting beliefs on them to hold them back. You can on a salesperson, you can easily withhold their ability to make a higher income based off of processes, investments, barriers to entry, technology issues. There's a lot of things that I've gone through where people don't ever listen to you because they think they're high on the hill, and I believe that it's like the undercover boss, that you can exploit good and bad, right? You can withhold and exploit. You can withhold. You've been through that scenario.
Oh yeah.
You can.
As salespeople, I think we both have. In organizations where it's like you sit there and year over year, you're the all-star, and they keep putting you in a box, and closing the walls in. It's like, guys, just take the chains off me and let me run.
Control.
Watch.
It's a control.
Yeah.
There are guardrails that we want to put forth in here for processes that need to make sense, but the sense of control around and people, if you have the right people in the right seat, you don't have to control them. If you have boys and I tell you guys all the time, if it's boys and girls and I'm babysitting, well, I'm gonna babysit, or if you have men and women and together we work together, and you guys run your household.
Trust there,
and you run your household. Run your household. If you run your house and you run it correctly and you're leading your pack, you're going to come in here, and this is part of it. And I don't have to worry about that. But the moment I have to start worrying about who's leading their home outside of this, then it bleeds into here, and they're going to need the same babysitting they do probably at home. So it's kind of but I think the exploitation and corporate exploitation, I think there's a massive exploitation on the mega companies. I think that happens at an extreme level. However, that doesn't mean that just because you're employed there in the position you are, that you're being exploited because you're sitting in the seat. So I think we need to take some accountability that, are you just sitting there doing the basics?
Yeah.
And you think they're exploiting you? Well, I would say you're exploiting them because you're just sitting there doing the basics.
Right. Nope.
So there's two sides. Are you exploiting them for a paycheck? That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Susie's in the seat. She moves about slow as a snail.
And just goes through the motions. Yeah.
And guess what happens? It's a bottleneck on billing. And guess what happens? Now the company's getting exploited. And then the company has a good month and she thinks she's being exploited, but she doesn't realize her fundamental day-to-days that she shows up as and represent. It just, so there's this ebb and flow. And I think that the only thing that I can relate to on these mega companies is they started, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all these guys started with the dream. It was never promised. It was never guaranteed.
No.
They took risk, and they still do at the highest level that possible. And so whatever the perspective of that is, if that person feels that way, go do it go do it on your own. Go dive in on your own and see if that feeling of what you sense is true, or do you feel like that it's a little bit easier and safer doing it the other way? Because I know both ends of it. And I don't know if I would ever go do this end again. I love it, and I think it's beautiful, but it's only today that I can say that. And I will never forget those moments prior. It was tough, right? So I think there's a level of that there's a blend. And I think that, people that are feeling exploited, or maybe their skill sets aren't enough, or maybe there's just a dynamic in the leadership and your ability to progress forces you sometimes to go get side hustles. And what does that side hustle look like? Do you feel like there's freelancing opportunities? And I always tell people, if your skill set's so great, then go seek additional ways to make revenue. Sometimes there's a market number that the company or the organization just has a balance that it can handle, and that to keep it holistic. Because if anything's extreme on the top or the bottom on any type of cash flow, it's just I think you got to just be in a situation where we trust the leadership enough that you're not going to be exploited, and vice versa. They got to trust you enough that they're not being exploited, because I've had both ends. I've been exploited to a T. I shared one with you before, and you went, "Oh my gosh, first day of employment," and you about fell out of your seat. And I can tell you, at that stage, I was being exploited since on that one, day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day one, disrespected, exploited.
Yep.
Bad hire, all the stuff that you want to say. So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah,
and I think that,
does.
and I think that we got to be careful on saying that, oh, woe is me. I think it's a responsibility on both sides. And I think there's a lot of it happening on both sides. And if I start sensing that, I call our team out. Like, I know there's times that we might need to take our foot off the gas. And I can realize, and I'm not blind, I can see that, hey man, we've been pushing hard, but there's also time like we got to get over the hump, guys. And if we got to push to get through it. Yeah. If you want more, then let's go do more.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen. Like, it's effort and where we're heading, and a team effort. And it's sometimes it's hard to realize that outside of it. Some people feel like they're doing more than the next person or vice versa. You might be doing more work, but that person might be taking a different level of thinking and time to get to that point. We've gone through that and I try to share with, because, sometimes there's ebbs and flows in business, and I want to share with you guys, like, listen, here's where I'm going. It's not easy, because if I ask and you can't answer, then it's not that easy. I always tell people, let me ask you the question. If you don't give the right answer, and I do in 2 seconds, and you go, that's a great idea, that's easy to hear and think of that idea. It's really hard to get to that point, right? And I think that just the side hustle point, I think it's like, we're in this beautiful country of America. Go do it. Go do the side hustle. Go see if that's a path for you that comes at an entrepreneurship side of things, or be in an environment that allows you to have that thought process and not limit your ability to scale.
Or there's there's opportunity. There's opportunity for you to cultivate and create something of your own that you get to wholeheartely manage and take authority of. Then you're in a financial position to take that risk. Why not? But there's risk reward in all of it, and there's sacrifice in anything, and it's if you're willing to accept that challenge.
Yeah. And I think just, there's a balance, and I think there's an autonomy, and I think in the right environment with the right leadership and team, I think you can get best of both worlds. But every position has a top, and there's only so much an organization can do for that position. Now, I would think that if you start on the bottom and you move your way up, you can learn enough throughout that entire process to grow. And if you're in a growing environment, if you're in a stale environment where they're not growing, well, you're not going to grow. That's just not going to happen.
You're not.
And we've been there, dude. You and I have been in those fighting fighting for the leadership to grow. And they just didn't know.
Or they try to arm you're sitting there, you going, you can arm me better in the trenches to have more success, not just for me, for the company. And it just goes on deaf ears, because guess what? That leader, those people in those leadership roles aren't challenging themselves either. They're not recognizing where the talent is that's going to help them look good.
Yep. Hire better people. I know, like, I'm great on certain things, man. And there's some areas I just,
and exactly, but we've got a good mutual understanding and of one another, and where our personalities and where our traits merit in a position at a point in time, but
and it's never perfect.
But that's teamwork, though.
But it's also understanding where your limitations are, where you don't want to, where I don't want to put, maybe there's places I genuinely at this stage with where I don't want to put effort into. I just want to keep this ship a sailing.
Yeah.
And that comes at a cost at times, good and bad. Right. Like, and so I think that just for viewers, it's like, man, just realize that my biggest takeaway from this is like, don't play a victim, roll your sleeves up. And if you're not willing to grow inside that organization, express in an empathetic way, your concerns to your leadership. And if there's no room there, just say, hey guys, I'm probably going to have to make a change because this isn't it. So if you're not able to level up your game, but that means the organization has to be in a place of being able to handle that. But then also take that away, and like, your expectations are going to grow. Your responsibilities are going to grow.
You got to take the time to diagnose where the roadblocks are.
How much stress do you want to take? How much responsibility do you want to take? And to me, it's like, how much execution? What are you going to actually provide?
Yeah.
Where are we going? Like, and so I think the takeaways is that I think there's we're in a very unique dynamic shift in business. And I think that, the ability to do multiple things, good and bad is got its own reach, and your time. If you want to make a little spare money and your skill sets allow you to do that, and the market doesn't, go do it. Like, there's only so much that, businesses can handle. And I think that the biggest thing is don't play the victim, right? Just if the victim mentality is a limiting belief of yourself, and that if you're playing that on the outside, you're probably playing that on the inside,
Well, and at the end of the day, if you're the victim, why are you still sitting in the seat at this organization? Why aren't you taking yourself somewhere else to maybe take on a better challenge and a better opportunity?
Exactly.
Rather than just sitting here stale,
playing the victim.
I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think on this episode, guys, we're going to take this and wind it down. And we appreciate you guys joining us on this episode of 28 of Never in Reverse. And again, we want your guys',
what's your corporate experiences? What are your guys' experiences? What have you been through? What have you seen?
Have you worked for a mega corporation and felt extremely exploited, which I can't relate to?
Valued.
Yeah.
Or felt valued.
Or saw a growth path that they didn't exploit you. They brought you up with them. Yeah. I know. So we want to hear your guys' comments and, personal experiences and what you've seen, good, bad, and different from small to medium-sized businesses. And, qualification, the end guy coming in with a qualification that he thinks is worthy of something, and he gets in the seat and cannot perform. Can't perform. Pressure's too high. Textbook was quiet. Now you got 5 people in your seat looking at you, asking you for the things that your textbook answered for you.
Right.
What it looked like. Be real. So we appreciate you guys jumping on. Please follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all Facebook, the above, TikTok, and X.
Coming.
Come see us on X. And then hopefully get Doug. I didn't get any roasts in on this one.
I know. With this, we're kind of dry toast here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might need a coffee.
Yeah. I think I need it. We call those tall boys.
Yeah, need
once
coffee.
Again. Yeah, we're going to revamp that marketing strategy for Starbucks. They're now Venti is no longer a Venti. It's tall boys.
Tall boy.
So, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Until next time, episode 29. We appreciate it, and thanks for taking a ride with us on this awesome journey. Have a wonderful day. Take care.